Well, I was going to share when you were talking, Bill, about the Bible passing. Again, God orchestrates everything in such divine alignment. I was up at my brother's house this weekend, and I alluded a little bit to his kind of encounter, but won't go into details about it because I feel like there's still more evolving. But I had accidentally left my Bible at their what was my Bible chair at their house. And I was about maybe 45 minutes from their home when I realized, oh my gosh. And I had circled, when you leave and I don't know about the men, but the women, we circle the house 20 times, making sure we have everything we need. I look at
You
all the
don't have to because you
cabinets.
do it.
Exactly. Well, I was doing it. And all I was concerned about was this walkie talkie. We brought walkie talkies out to their farm and we couldn't find one walkie talkie. So I was like, man, I can't believe we're leaving this walkie talkie behind. I hate leaving knowing I'm leaving something. You're going to have to send it to me or I'm going to have to get it from you. And never even thought twice about my Bible, which is like, I've got Bibles everywhere around my house, but there is this one Bible that's like the go-to, the fully highlighted, the messed up, the doggy chewed, the torn edges, all that. And 45 minutes out, and I was like, oh. And Waverly, my daughter's like, what? And I was like, I forgot my Bible. She's like, are we going to turn around? And I was like, I'll get it mailed to me. I called Gary and I'm like, babe, are you close? And he's like, no, I'm far. So reach out to them and tell them, I left my Bible. They're like, we'll mail it to you tomorrow. Well, lo and behold, that afternoon was when my brother told my sister-in-law about what his encounter was the day before. And guess the first thing that they did? They went to that Bible, the only Bible that they had in that house, to go and search out stories that were like it. And I thought, whoa. Then the very next day, he had to get that Bible, put that Bible in his car, go to mail it, like just to hold it, right? And I'm thinking, God, you use every single thing so organically, so beautifully. And so he sends his Bible back to me. And the first thing I'm doing is I'm finding a Bible to go send to him because I'm like, I don't want you without this weapon. I don't want you without this tool. I don't want you without this resource. You might not have any idea where to open it up to, but I want you to have access to the living word. I just thought it was so cool.
He's good.
So intentional.
All things work together for the good of them who love the Lord according to his will and purpose.
So true.
I don't know if I shared with y'all. I think I shared last week that we'd come home and had a funeral I had to preach for a 9-year-old little boy last Friday. And that scripture is the one that comes to mind, but finding a way to communicate that to someone who's wounded and hurt in that manner is tough. And when I prepared for that, actually, when we got off the plane in New York and got the news, in my mind, I actually said, God, I don't want to preach this funeral because I don't have the answers. So when they asked me to do it, I knew God was asking me to do it. So in my preparation, I said, God, I need to hear from you because I don't have the answers. And he said, well, you can't give them what you don't have, but you better give them what you do have. And I just began to share with them the access to comfort that we have. That when we give our mourning, joy is the promised return. When we release that grief, the tears, that joy is what returns to us. And I've referenced that a lot in other funerals, but to stand in that place with a mother and a father who realistically don't know, and they're loosely Christians. They were raised around it. She was raised Catholic. He was kind of raised, but they're separate. They've kind of strayed. But I just gave him my heart and talked through that. And I had an aunt come up afterwards, and she said, "You don't know how long I've been praying for this side of the family." And I had several come up and said they're going to come to church. So sometimes it's in the unknown. And he's like, don't dwell on that. But what do you know? Like the power is in the testimony of what you do know. Somebody needs to hear that. Because Tamra, like in your conversation with that lady today, the place we get stuck in is, well, I don't know what's going to ask. And we've talked about this quite often, is I can't prepare for that because I don't know what to even walk into. I don't have a frame of reference. I don't have wisdom in that department. And sometimes that's the moment you listen the best, because I've preached funerals that I could just walk into and preach a funeral because I know a good scripture and go but this one I had to really stop and say, God, what do you want to say? Like, I need to know it's got to come from you because I have nothing. And I think those are the places sometimes are the most profound, not for the people that we're bringing something to, but also for us, that we're still in the process, that we're still those all things, the good, the bad, and indifferent, that we're a part of this, but it does work together when we align with Him.